let's build the perfect catered ski chalet. That was the brief. Really simple, but the point being that it was always about being a catered ski chalet, not a private home in the mountains, but a luxury experience that you could share with family or friends. And that's what makes it so special here. This is Chalet Sapphire. So the perfect catered chalet had to start with the perfect location. There was a very clear brief for this as well. It had to be central, it had to be very easily accessible to the centre of town, to the ski lifts and to the resort itself. Had to have great views, that was always really important, and an amazing vista. But he also really wanted it to have an air of privacy and an exclusivity. I think the idea of it sort of revealing itself was always there. And that's quite a hard combination to find. I can remember searching it or going to visit countless existing properties that had potential for further development or extension, but none of them quite hit the mark. They were fighting them too much. And then he found this site, which was pretty incredible. It was incredibly expensive for a plot, particularly one that was relatively difficult to work with, because we're perched right on the side of the valley here. So we're very, very central, but no one can ever build behind this chalet. The view's never going to change, and it's pretty special. You look straight across over the trees, over the rooftops of the town on the other side, and straight up at the mountains at the Plenny slopes. And in the winter, that view takes your breath away a bit. It's an interesting, it's quite a unique angle to see the mountain from, and it looks really imposing. It looks really steep, and it is quite a steep slope, but it takes on a different character when you look over there from here. It's very, very special, and you'd never knew you were right in the heart of the resort. You can walk into the centre of town in 5 or 6 minutes. Once we'd found the plot, the next was the design, and I suppose that's where the fun and games really started. So initially, I think there was only ever one architect in the frame here, and they did a fantastic job of the core building. The chalet's built in an almost fan type shape, and it has sort of 3 wings which you can really see from above, and they frame different views as you look around the resort and across the valley. But they all at the same time convene on this sort of central staircase, which is behind us here. And that creates this very interesting split level volume. So the centre of the chalet is just all joined around this one-off staircase, which is pretty incredible, with the lights that drop all the way down through. There's split levels, it's quite open, so you can, sort of as soon as you come into the chalet, you've got that connection to the various different spaces. We can see to the lounge, the dining room, so the upper bedrooms, there's more below. And you've got all the reclaimed wood and the beams. The roof structure here actually was incredibly complicated. It was one of the biggest challenges of the build process because of that fan shape. The intersections of the roof structure are highly irregular, and making that work from an engineering point of view and also just a construction and an aesthetic point of view was a big challenge. So the dining experience being sort of planned for staffing, for catered, this was quite a central part, and it was always planned to have a fully professional kitchen that was closed off so a professional catering team could work in there. But they still wanted the idea of some theatre, some show. So we've got the front kitchen area with the teppanyaki plates for some of the final finishing, the bar seating, etc. And then you've got this incredible dining table, which was solid teak and imported from Bali. It was a hell of an effort to get in here because it's one piece. I can't remember how much it weighs, but it's a lot. And obviously the unique feature of it is square. And I think it really works because it's a much more sociable layout. From any seat here, you can kind of talk and engage with anyone else in the group. If you're on a long thin table, you only tend to talk to those that, directly next to you at your end. Whereas here, there's nothing to stop you really interacting with everyone in the group. And I think that social connection around a dining experience That's the type of consideration that was at the core of the build here, and it shows off, works really well. So the spa area here was always going to be a significant feature of the chalet and a big part of the design. It's probably one of the spaces that got considered the most. I think it was, the aim was to create an almost unrivaled spa experience within a chalet environment. I mean, that started with a pretty extensive list of facilities. Obviously there was an indoor pool, which has got different swim jets and currents. Steam room, really large steam room actually. That's very well put together. An ice chamber. Down the stairs to a relaxation area and a very large treatment room. Outside we've got a huge hot tub, which is sat right on the edge of the deck with those incredible views. It's probably one of the best positioned hot tubs of any property I've ever been working with. And a sauna outside as well. So you really have a full suite of facilities. But it's not just about those being as a tick list. Often you see them scattered over a property and they're not very well connected. So you can use them all, but they're quite individual in that experience. Here they all really come together. And I think that was again how it was designed and laid out. He wanted it to feel like you were visiting almost a hotel spa or a commercial spa, not in a bad way, but in a way where that really kind of joined up to give you that total experience. I've been lucky enough to stay here a couple of times, and I think in terms of the experience, it does deliver to the brief. It's a really fun place to stay. It's highly sociable. The spaces are all, because of that interconnection, you're kind of, I don't want to say forced in a bad way, but you're naturally drawn to interact with the rest of your group and with the team that are looking after you. And it's a space that really encourages you to have fun, to use the facilities, to have a good time. And I think that's a pretty good success story from that original brief to, create that perfect holiday.